Hello, Internet. I just wanted to talk some, so this is probably going to be like a blog post. I don't know really what I want to talk about. I just got a lot going on and thought, it often helps me to talk. Now, normally I would do this during a game, but since I've been taking a step back from YouTube, the only thing I've got going on is the Cataclysm tutorial series, and that's obviously not a place to insert all of my messed up life stuff because it's a tutorial. It's it's meant to teach people about the game, not to complain about my life. I'm also going to be doing some things in the background on the computer while I talk, so if I get distracted, oh well. Again, it's going to be like a blog post, I guess. My life has been so I decided I was going to take a break from YouTube, and at first it was really good to step back to because before that I was recording multiple hours a day, editing every day, every night. Oftentimes, and you even just the simple stuff like putting in, like, let's say tomorrow, right, my videos are going to go up. Even the time it takes just to assign a title and description and tags and put them in playlists and put the credits on the video, all that kind of stuff is very simple. When you're doing 3-4 videos a day, that takes minimally like 45 minutes on its own. So it's like, just didn't have time for myself, and it was frustrating to work constantly, essentially, between, my regular job, I work 7 days a week. And you spend all that time, and then you come home and you do YouTube the whole time that you're conscious and coherent, and it really is very draining. And like I said previously, I think I just wanted to jump to full time, and I was pushing myself pretty hard. So I took a step back, and taking a step back really helped for like the first week or so. The first 3 or 4 days when I wasn't recording, I spent all my time. I downloaded a bunch of anime, which was exciting because I haven't really done anime in a while and haven't watched anime in a while. So that was like fun and distracting. And then I was binging 30 Rock and spending my nights, just checking out my ebooks and doing some stuff that, I'd been putting off and forcing myself to write. That was a lot of fun to get back to writing a little bit. And, it seemed like things were good for a couple of days. And then started running out of footage, backed off to 1 or 2 episodes a day, posted The Room. No one really watched The Room, which was disappointing because I found that game really enjoyable and was going to play the sequels, but no one watched it, so probably won't be playing those anytime soon. And having recording issues and starting to get comments about how I'm not putting out enough content, and starting to get frustrated with that. And obviously the real world has been devolving as well. We've had coronavirus getting more and more out of hand. My state now, my governor has asked that everyone wear face coverings whenever they leave the house, which is like freaky, I guess is what it is. When I look at the world, when I go places and I see all these people with face coverings, it freaks me out. Just kind of that primal reaction, like something is really wrong here. It makes me very uncomfortable. And then my own face covering, I have breathing problems, so like any amount of face covering is enough that it makes it hard for me to breathe. So haven't been enjoying that. Plus it's just awkward, it's kind of weird. It's almost like a safety net. Having that cover my face makes me feel more comfortable in public because people can't scrutinize me. But at the same time, seeing everyone else like that is makes me so nervous and uncomfortable. And I know I probably shouldn't feel that way, but I totally do. There was something, I was going to start installing a game, and now I can't remember what game I was going to install. So I'm just looking through my Steam library and GOG library trying to find what I was going to do here, and I have no idea. So the real world has been a source of concern and stress, and making me feel more and more just uncomfortable whenever I leave my house. And then situation at my house is also devolving because people in my family haven't been taking it super seriously, and it makes me nervous. And then my brother, of course, we've discussed his drug problem. Tonight, he just I guess, was passed out unconscious on our front porch, which I didn't know. I've been home the whole time, and I didn't even know he was out there. And, thank goodness it's warm outside. That's people die like that. People pass out, get drunk, fall asleep outside, and they end up freezing to death. So thankfully it's a warm night, but didn't even know he was out there. And then my family comes home, and I just hear people screaming at each other, and I guess he was high on the porch, and, then it's the whole family shouting, the whole, you got to go back to rehab, and I can't take this anymore, and it's just back and forth of people yelling, and him just smirking like he thinks it's so funny, and they, of course, they don't have the stones to kick him out. If this were my house, I would have told him when he came here, hey, if you're going to be here, you're going to be in treatment, and if you're not in treatment, you cannot live here. I love you, I want you to have a safe place to go, but you need to get help or you cannot be here, because I will not tolerate you getting high and passing out on our porch. But they don't have the strength, I guess, to do that. Oh, that's what it was. I was going to install Civilization 5 is what I was going to install. So just scroll down the old list here. I have quite a library at this point of games, but most of them are things people don't want to watch on YouTube, so most of the time I don't end up playing them. Civilization 5, released September 23rd, 2010. I really like this game. I don't know if it'll make it on the channel, but I enjoyed this game, and I thought, why not play Civil? I know the 6th one is out, but I don't know. I saw it and it looked really cartoonish, and I kind of really liked 5, so probably just gonna focus on playing 5. Whoa, what? Don't be like that, Steam. Anyway, so the situation with my brother is an ongoing source of stress. I know we talked about it a little bit. I've gotten some people accuse me of complaining too much, and I get that. I do a lot of complaining. But it just seems like everything in my life is so bad right now. It's supposed to be, I'm on break from YouTube. I'm less stressed. I'm relaxing. It's supposed to be easier, and it's not easier. It seems like every day, oh God, it's just so overwhelming to me. And I feel like it's embarrassing. I'm 32, and I still can barely handle real life. And it's so stressful and unpleasant. And I ran out of footage for YouTube, so I'm supposed to be taking this time to focus on my writing and just to relax and kind of watch a TV, and then I ran out of footage, and it's for the last 5 or 6 days, I've spent the entire day trying to get things to record properly. I was going to play, what was the first one? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember I was going to play Divinity, because I'd never played Divinity, but I own it. And the Original Sin, the first one. And I've heard this game is fantastic, so I was like, all right, I'll record that. Kind of want to do something fantasy-wise. So I was going to record that. That didn't work out. My computer's hardware isn't good enough to play and record at the same time. That's a pretty intensive game. I think that came out I don't know, probably 2012, but still my computer can't really run it very well. So I thought, okay, it's not a big deal. I have a limitation on the channel already where I can't play super advanced games anyway. It's not really what people come for. I think people come for Cataclysm, and then they'll just watch other stuff if they like the game. Or if they like me, that's the goal, is that you'll like me as an individual, so you'll watch anything I play regardless. But it doesn't really work out that way. So that wasn't a big deal. I was like, okay, it's the hardware. It's not a big deal. Just find something else to play. So I was like, you know what? I have Oblivion. I haven't really played Oblivion in probably a decade. That was a pretty solid game, so I'll play Oblivion. Well, the first day I installed Oblivion, spent probably about 3 hours trying to get it to run. It has a lot of issues on modern systems, so when I finally did get it to run, it would run at 400 frames a second, and everything in Bethesda games is tied to the frame rate, so the bodies and all the physics stuff was completely broken. I was moving 7 times faster than I was supposed to, and I was like, all right, I'll just go to bed, I'll figure it out tomorrow. Next day, spent another like probably 3.5, 4 hours trying to get it to run properly. Got it to run okay, but when it's outdoors, it's pretty choppy. But I was like, it's only when I'm outdoors, and it's only, at certain points when it loads cells, so maybe people will overlook that. So I started recording and recorded 5 episodes of that, and then went back to watch them after I finished. They were all very, very choppy, completely just ruined footage, so I couldn't put that on the channel, which was frustrating because I had invested like 3 hours of recording into it. And it was weird because like my hardware says everything's fine. OBS said there were no recording issues. The game was running great. My computer wasn't even spinning up like, how computers get louder when they're working really hard. Wasn't doing that at all. My resources were all at like 30%. So I couldn't really pin down what had happened, but it ruined the footage. I was like, all right. I was like, okay, well, Oblivion's fine. I like Fallout as well, so I thought maybe we'll do New Vegas. Same basic issues, a lot of frame rate issues initially. Installed some mods that were supposed to help with the stuttering. Got everything squared away and started to record that, and it was the same thing. This was the next day. It was the same thing as Oblivion. It just was stuttery the whole time, and I don't know what to do about it. So I was angry at that point. At this point, it's been days of me not recording, but I'm investing all this time and getting no footage out of it. And it's like all this time I'm wasting. And was like, okay, well, what about Morrowind? Morrowind's even older, very low resource game, should have no problem recording. So today I spent probably 4 hours trying to get Morrowind set up, because I installed Morrowind, recorded some Morrowind. It was choppy as well, and I just don't understand why. I changed all my OBS settings. I started reading guides online about what my issues could be. Ultimately, thought maybe it was just Morrowind being janky, so I downloaded Open Morrowind, which is like a complete redo of the engine in a modern way so that it's a lot more reliable on new systems. Tried that, also very choppy. Decided to go to OBS, the forums, several days ago. I went to the OBS and said, hey, I'm having some issues. I gave them tons of information. Anybody have any insight, would help me out a lot. And no one responded to me for like 4 days. So I came back today and was like, hey, just to bump the thread, and was like, hey, any help at all, anything you could tell me would be helpful. I'm not technically minded. I just don't get what the problem is. I see some people post here and all they give you is, hey, my video skips, and they get tons of responses. So I gave you all this information. Can anyone help me? And I got kind of a snarky response, which was like, well, we didn't answer your question because we've answered it a million times before. And it's here, it's like, why didn't you just read the forums? It's like, bitch, I've been reading all these questions and answers, and they linked me to some guides, but I was already using those guides, and they told me to do like 5 things, but I already do those things, and it's just frustrating to me that I can't figure this out. I'm a smart man, but when it comes to like technical stuff, it just melts my brain. I don't get it. And there are tons of idiots on YouTube who are way dumber than me that just set it up, push the button, and it works for them. So why doesn't it work for me? It's just super frustrating. It's one of those things that really chaps my ass about the channel, is that since the beginning of the channel, I've been playing these really kind of indie games, these very low quality games for the most part, like graphic quality, I mean. Obviously Cataclysm doesn't really have a frame rate. It's just when you move, there's a frame. So I've been playing roguelikes because like they're the only things that record particularly well. Some emulator stuff records okay. But most of the games that I've played have to be these really low resource games, which is fine for the most part. I love Cataclysm, and I love some of these other games that I've played. But there are tons of games I've played that I only played because they work on my computer. Like The Binding of Isaac is a game that I have people on a regular basis that are like, why don't you just go play more Binding of Isaac? I hate that game. The only reason I played The Binding of Isaac as long as I did, well, at first it was like, oh, well, this is Edmund McMillan. Everybody loves him. This game is supposed to be amazing. Why don't we play it? And then once I started playing it, I was like, this game's kind of shit. They make a ton of terrible decisions. in this game design that make the game really frustrating. There's no reason to have so many bad items. There's no reason to have such low percentage drops on some of the good items. It's really like, basically when I play Binding of Isaac, you either get a godly item that wins you the run, or you struggle the whole time and then you die, and that's the end of the game. That's not fun. There's no middle ground. There's no like, let's turn this into a win. Plus I'm bad at it, which is like, makes it even more frustrating. So I get people asking me like, why don't you play the Binding of Isaac? Well, the only reason I played it is because it actually runs on my computer and it records okay. It's the only reason it got 60 episodes on my channel. I don't even like the game. It's like, I want to play stuff, but the stuff I want to play doesn't record, you know? I got really excited when I thought like, oh, I'll record Morrowind, because it's been like 15 years since I played Morrowind. I didn't think people would love it on the channel because it's so like old and not great graphics, but like I really liked that game when I was a teenager, and I was excited to play it again, and that didn't work out. What were the other things I tried to record? I installed them on Steam. Oh, Left 4 Dead didn't record, that's right. Had issues trying to record that. Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth would not record. 7 Days to Die still eats up 100% of my CPU at all times, even though it looks terrible. I don't really understand why that game eats up all of my resources at all times. And then when I went and talked to the Discord and was like, hey, can someone talk me through getting this to run because it doesn't run very well, I said, you know, I just bought it like an $800 computer. It should probably run. People were like, yeah, I own a $2,000 computer and it doesn't run. So I don't know what's going on with that game. What else? Scroll down. What was the other thing I tried to record? Titan Quest did not record properly because I picked that up for cheap recently, and I kind of thought like, you know, I haven't played a Diablo game in a while. That'd be cool. But that was very choppy at all times as well. It's just super frustrating to constantly, like today, it's Sunday. What's today's date? It's Sunday, April 5th. I woke up at like 3 p.m. It's 9 p.m. right now. I have spent all day, literally the last like, maybe not full 6 hours because I did stop and eat, but probably the last 5.5 hours just trying to record stuff, and it never seems to work for me, and I don't know why. And I'm frustrated. I'm supposed to be writing, you know, oh God. So my therapy has, normally I go to group therapy usually once a week, sometimes once a month. It just depends on what's going on. And they shifted to phone appointments now. So we talk by phone. Obviously, the coronavirus is an issue. So, you know, getting 10 to 15 people in a room is not a smart decision. So we've been doing it by phone. And last week on Tuesday, she called and we had our phone appointment. And we ended up talking about my writing because I told her I was taking a step back from YouTube and I was trying to focus on finishing a novel so that I could finally work towards getting published. And I talked to this woman, and I don't know her super well. She's a relatively new person into the group coordination, you know. It's like, I don't know her very well. She doesn't know me very well. But when I heard her talk, she was so positive. She was like, she believed in me, is what it felt like. It felt like she was saying, like, you can absolutely write a novel, you can get it published, and it can earn you some money, which is something you desperately need because you're poor and people rely on you, and money is always tight. And by the end of that conversation, even like, because I told her, like, you know, I'm super insecure. What if I try to publish and then no one wants to read it? What if I, you know, publish and I get all these terrible reviews and I'm not as good a writer as I think I am? And what if it all just falls apart? And we talked about my insecurities and that kind of stuff. But by the end, I felt so confident. She had like talked me up to the point where I was like, yes, I can do this. Absolutely. I believe in myself. And I felt so good after that conversation. And then I didn't write all week because I was trying to work on YouTube, and it just kept falling through. And I keep putting it off and putting it off. And it's like, why am I even taking this break if I'm not going to buckle down and do it? But then I get pressure from people. You know, I get comments that are like, well, where's this series? Where's that? I just had someone on Twitter yesterday say, hey, I don't really get why you stopped recording. And it's like, I made a whole video explaining it, you know, and I thought I explained it pretty well, but I get multiple people saying, hey, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? And it's like, I just want time for me. I'm tired of everything being so difficult. I just want to take a freaking break. I just want to sit still. I just want to watch 30 Rock. I just want to write a novel. God, like I'm not mad at you, but it's like I need time for me, and I'm not really taking that time like I said I would. And then with my brother, I don't know. It's always something, if it's not work, it's always something with work. If it's not work, it's family. And if it's not family, it's therapy. If it's not therapy, it's my devolving mental state or not having my medication or freaking something, It's just always something. And I never have money, I don't know. I'm not having a good time, Internet. I'm supposed to be relaxing. I should be writing a novel. I'm stuck on my novel too. Like I mean, I don't know how much people care. I mean, at this point, we're 21 minutes into the episode. A whole mess of you already stopped listening a long time ago. Okay, we're just turning into rambling now. Okay, so, Internet, I'm having a rough time in my life, and I was supposed to back off, take a break, and kind of address my mental health, and I'm just not recovering, is what it is. It's like I'm stuck. I'm stuck in that place. I'm not getting over it. I'm not feeling better. I'm not, it's not absolving, it's not relinquishing. It's just constant. My brother is constant. It doesn't matter how many times we talk to him and say, hey, don't go out anymore. It's freaking coronavirus. Would you please stay at the house? He just ignores us and goes out and does it anyway. And then I talk to my family and I'm like, why don't you put your foot down and tell him he can't leave if he's going to be living here. He has to stay here. We don't trust him. And they're like, well, we can't make him stay here. It's like, yes, you can. It's your freaking house. Tell him if he leaves, he can't come back. Well, I want him to have a safe place to go. Well, that's great. But he's just going to keep taking advantage over and over and over until something forces him to change. I don't understand. I hit my rock bottom when I was like 19. Okay, when I knew I was going to be incarcerated, when my life was falling apart. That was my rock bottom. And I made changes in my life because I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to live in that place anymore. My brother has had multiple rock bottoms and he has never seemed to make the decision to be better, and there's nothing you can do with those people. You either make that decision or you don't. It all starts with a decision. You can't fix a problem. Like if there's a hole in your boat and you're like, no, there's no hole in my boat, you're never going to fix it because you don't recognize that there's a hole in the boat. So he obviously has problems. He's obviously abusing drugs and passing out in public, and we had that whole fiasco with the police and the ambulance. It's like, at what point do you stop and say, oh shit, there's actually a problem here, and then start working on it? I'm not saying he'll be cured. I'm not saying it just goes away. It doesn't. It's hard. But you have to make that initial decision and say, I'm going to change my life. Okay, anyway, I'm rambling. So look, having a rough time, having trouble with my recordings, probably not going to be anything on the channel but Cataclysm for at least a week, which is frustrating. I'm trying my PC free recording capture card that I got a while ago. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm at least testing it to see if maybe it works better with this new computer, and just hoping for the best. But I don't know what to record. I can record roguelikes, but I don't really want to play them right now, and I don't want to devote a long series or anything. I just want to play something that I know I'll enjoy. I don't freaking know. Look, thanks, Internet. Thanks for listening. I appreciate the well wishes and all that stuff. Please stop asking me what I'm going to be playing. Just stop. I get it. Some of you have games you want me to play. I don't mind suggestions, but please stop telling me what I should be doing, and just acknowledge that I need some time. And it's my channel, and I do this for free, I'm not getting anything out of this other than my own enjoyment, so it's just it's gonna be a lack of content for a while, so that's just how it's gonna be. For now, thank you for watching, thank you for listening to me ramble. I don't know if I'll even post this. Sometimes it's just enough to vocalize it and not actually post it, but I don't know. Thanks for watching. See you next time.